Good afternoon, and welcome to another sentient version of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. Now here's your somnambulant and sanguine host, Voice of Doom. Okay, I didn't really want to go on with this subject. I wanted to get to my other lectures on doomology, but that can wait because the disasters will continue. But apparently this transgender shooting in a Christian school is not dying down anytime soon, for obvious reasons. It's a conflagration, it's a meeting of different ideologies, and everyone who has been on the bandwagon with wokesterism, petri dish, and the entire destruction of human civilization are at odds on how to treat and how to deal with this situation. Now there's a term in legalese, or when you go to law school you don't actually learn how to do anything, but you learn all these terms, and one of them is situational ethics. It's a fancy way of saying double standards, and I'm seeing situational ethics with this shooting. Now they want to investigate this incident, and they want to make it last for the rest of our lives, because if it's being investigated, then nothing can be told about it and no information can be released. But it seems like a pretty cut and dried situation. I don't think they're looking into the behavior of the responders as far as shooting the shooter. But there's people saying, should we treat this as a hate crime? Now, it's absurd on its face that you have to denote or delineate what kind of crime it was. It was a killing. 6 innocent people got killed for no reason. And the only reason that you would want to classify it as a hate crime after the fact, and after everyone, the principles are all gone, is for statistical reasons, so that they can say how many hate crimes were against people of Jewish persuasion, how many were against people of color, how many were against Christians, how many were against Muslims. And they really don't want to add any Christians to the list if they can help it, because Christians are the bad guys, especially Christians who try to adhere to the doctrines to which they have devoted themselves. Because in order to do that, you have to believe in what the Bible says, and in order to do that, you have to twist your brain around all over the place. In one way, you have to do it because many fundamentalists believe in the Bible as being literal, and that's sad because there's too much scientific evidence that says the earth was not made in 6 days. Regardless of who made it, it took more than 6 days. Now, you start from that initial premise of the first chapter of Genesis and go, certain things are allegorical, certain things are mythical, certain things are done to prove a point. Certain things are done because the people who wrote the books, even though they were inspired by God, apparently God was only limited to whatever time frame he was dealing with. So that means that he's not omnipotent. So let's not get into that. People are born into Christianity and they stick with it and they live with it. And if they did practice it, then we'd have a better world. Nothing against them. But most people give lip service and profess to be a certain way, and they don't really practice it. And every religion needs a daily practice where you have to do it every day so that you keep it in the forefront of your brain. But let's go on with this shooting business. At first, the MSM were very much into describing this assailant and shooter and murderer as a female, a woman, a genetic woman, a biological female, and then word seeped out that this person identified as a male, which I would believe they'd want to jump on the bandwagon immediately and say, yes, this shooter was a male, and that just proves the patriarchy, and that just proves white supremacy, because this white male walked in to a school and shot people up and killed them. So that proves our point. Male toxicity, white supremacy, and the patriarchy all bundled up into one little thing. Let's put aside that the person was born a female. They're a male now. They're as guilty as every other white male who's gone on shooting sprees. But they haven't gone down that road. A few people have gotten up in public and blamed the victims for their hateful rhetoric, which I haven't seen much of. I've seen common sense rhetoric that says kids shouldn't be sexualized. I believe that since I was a kid. So I don't think kids have any business worrying about what their sexuality is, or who they want to be with, or how they want to do it, until they are 18 years old. Then you can go to town. Up until then, in my world, underage sex would be outlawed. You'd be put in detention just for having it. Because that just means that young kids have other kids, and it's a big mess. It doesn't have to happen. It's only because, like in Brave New World, we've normalized sexuality to where it's a casual hobby, casual pastime. So let's go on with this reaction to this male who shot up a school. Besides vilifying the victims, Petri Dish is continuing on his cavalier ways of, he was probably told by his handlers, don't answer any questions, just make quips and jokes. People like it when you quip and joke, so just make quips and jokes. So he goes, okay, I'm good at that. And he makes quips and jokes at the most inappropriate times. That's what he does, because he was told to do that. He can't help it. He's going to snicker at his own little quips when we're talking about shooting of kids in a school. Well, whatever he said, I'm against it. Okay. So he's gone. And I still see on the news outlets that there are polls that indicate that there's this percentage of this country, or what used to be, that still think that Petri Dish is doing a fine job. Now, I can only come to two different conclusions. I use my flow chart. Okay, flow chart, square. Petri Dish is doing a good job. One path leads to, I'm just a partisan who doesn't pay any attention to anything that's going on. I have everything I need. I don't look at the world. I don't look at the news. As far as I'm concerned, life is beautiful all the time because I got everything I want. and I'm a Democrat and always will be a Democrat, and anything is better than that last fraud of a president. So I'll put that group in the partisan, blind, greedy, selfish, unenlightened, no self-realization, no self-reflection. Just, I'm against this guy, I'm against the party, I'm with this party, anything about Petri dish I approve. So that's a pathetic way to be. Now there's another line, and that's just evil by volition. I know that Petri dish is ruining the world, and I'm with him. I'm one of his acolytes, I'm one of his entourage. So either way, that percentage is disgusting. There's no third line leading to, I like the way the world's going, I endorse no cars and cutting off gas supplies, and I endorse having proxy wars in Ukraine, and I endorse war at all costs if Petri dish is for it, because the Democrats have never done any wrong. I'd like to see that person. I mean, I wouldn't argue with them because it'd be useless. Like my kid says, it'd be like arguing with a raccoon. But I'd like to see them because I'd like to see what kind of person can possibly think that way. I mean, you look with your eyes, you see what's happening. Unless they're making everything up and everything I see on this screen is a lie. There are no people at the border. None. It's empty. Where are they getting this footage from crowds? I don't know, Woodstock concert? It's all fake. All the people you see are fake. There is no Petri dish. There is no orangey. They're all just images they project on the screen to control our thought processes. So I just wanted to add those addenda to this heinous crime. And like a lot of other people say, don't get to the bottom of anything. Manifesto. We want to see the manifesto. Well, what if it's it's going to say how she hates everybody and why she hates them, or they, and why there's going to be an incident. Sounds like everything was really well thought out ahead of time and planned, that this person was determined to do this. They don't want to find out why for two reasons. First, it makes their movement look bad, especially after they say they should arm themselves, because the hatred for trans people is so rampant that they should all walk around armed. That's the only thing the NPA endorsed, was arming trans people, because they've always been against they've always been for gun control, but now that trans wants it, that's old stuff. I don't want to repeat. But ironic. Guns for certain people, situational ethics. It's okay if this person shoots because they got a legitimate bone to pick. If it was somebody that had a MAGA hat, come on, and had a manifesto, it would be news for decades. So we all know that. Situational ethics. People they change their moralities, they change their morals and their values according to the situation. What one person does is horrible, but if the next person does it, it's great. It's obvious, come on. Everyone can see it. So I'll leave it there and try to go on with my other diatribes later. And sorry about the servicemen that were in helicopters that crashed today. And I don't want to say anything much because I have no evidence that it had anything to do with the insane agenda that the military is instilling in our enlisted people. They should have well enough alone and just let people train and do the right thing. I'm not going to say too much. There's accidents all the time, but if they happen more often than like train derailments, then people better stand up and take notice, because it means that the training isn't rigorous enough. Okay, I'll leave it there. Sorry about those that perished, and I am really kind of worried about my kids' future. All right then, bye.